I thought he says you have to live by the book, and the book says you can only marry 4, and well, the rules don't apply to him. Why don't they apply to him? Some people are saying this is a little contradiction. I love those some people, right? And now this noise is getting louder and louder and louder. Yes, Muslims are politically doing really well. Money's coming in, right? But I want you to understand this from the hypocrites' vantage point. They're starting to create this noise. The innocent Muslims, they're starting to not have an answer for what they're saying. Let's think of it from the perspective of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. Because they're his wives. Why did he do that? Why did he marry Zainab? They're having a thought. And then on top of that, not only did he marry Zainab, radiallahu anha, on top of that, a lot of money has come in, right? But you know the only family whose budget didn't change? The Prophet ﷺ. They're still living the same standard. Everybody else is doing better. Except who? The Prophet ﷺ. And the wives are like, so our lives are no better, and now there's even another mouth to feed? And another wife of the Prophet ﷺ? So there could be an attack on their minds. The Prophet ﷺ has his own anxiety. I'm supposed to lead these people, and they follow me through anything. And if they start questioning my integrity, how are they going to follow me? And I'm not bringing this up. I'm not saying anything about it. But they're already talking. So there's the Prophet's perspective, the vantage point. There's the Ummahatul Mu'mineen's vantage point. There's the believers' vantage point. There's the Munafiqun's vantage point. And of course, the Yahud are loving it. They're absolutely loving it. Like this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted him to be brought down to a level where they no longer look up to him. They put him. He's taken down from his pedestal in the eyes of the Muslims. In that entire climate, we're going to see how Allah is going to comment on this entire experience, what Allah is going to address. And what's amazing to me, we're going to get into this tomorrow, but what's amazing to me about this surah, the opening of this surah, is Allah did not concern himself with what the Muslims think. Allah did not concern himself with what the kuffar are saying. Allah did not concern himself with the munafiqun. Allah did not concern himself with the mothers of the believers. He's concerned with none of them. His only concern at the very top of the surah is, Ya ayyuhan nabi ittaqillah. Prophet, whose status is high and elevated. Remember I told you status is high and elevated? The one who receives news that nobody else receives. What news did he receive? Marry Zainab. And whenever he follows what Allah has given him, his status is lowered or higher. So the fact that he married Zainab, does it lower his status or elevate his status? It elevates his status. But why was he reluctant to tell Zayd to not get a divorce? He's reluctant because he thinks people are going to bring down his status, and they're going to say bad things about him, and it's going to hurt the mission. And the Prophet ﷺ is being told, you need to stop thinking about what people are going to say completely. You need to only be you need to be only cautious and fearful of Allah and Allah alone. Ya ayyuhan nabi ittaqillah is like saying, Prophet, stop caring about everyone else. Don't even entertain the thought of what somebody else will think. Let it all go. Let it all go completely. None of it matters. This is your new test of taqwa. There's a test of taqwa when the enemies are in the thousands and you're in the hundreds. That's a different kind of taqwa test. There's a different test of taqwa when they're offering you money and trying to compromise the message of Islam. There's a different kind of taqwa test when you're in a cave and they're standing on top of the cave, and if they just look down, you're going to get killed. There's a different kind of taqwa test. This is a different kind of taqwa test. You know what taqwa test this is? This is the fear of what people are going to say. This is not the fear of getting killed. This is not the fear of the mission being compromised. This is the fear of the commentary of people. It's a human fear. And the Prophet ﷺ felt an inclination of it, and Allah Azza wa Jal told him, never let that fear enter you. Ittaqillah. No, your taqwa means you don't get to have that feeling. You can't afford it. You're the pinnacle. You're the height of Muslim belief of this faith. You don't get to contaminate that faith even in the least bit. You know how in Surah Abasa, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam frowned, but he frowned at a blind person. There's nothing wrong with frowning at a blind person. No offense was done, but Allah has set such a high standard for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He can't even bulge his forehead in front of a blind person. The same way he can't even have the thought, what are people going to say? Allah cannot allow that thought for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Before I leave you, I'm going to share with you something about something if you think this is controversial, I'll give you controversy. In Christianity, the role model is Jesus. Never got married. Second role model is John the Baptist. Never got married. The Catholic Church, the highest ordained spiritual guide in the Catholic Church are the Pope. And then the cardinals and the entire hierarchy of the Catholic Church. Those people and the nuns, what happens with them? They don't get married. In the Christian faith, spirituality and sexuality are opposites. You're either a person of faith or the person of the flesh. Lust is the death of your faith. Okay? They're two opposite things. The Quraysh were very open and promiscuous. The Quraysh were Las Vegas on steroids. They were crazy. The Medina was a bad place. Medina was a very astaghfirullah place, if you don't know. Medina had brothels and prostitutes and all kinds of crazy stuff. It was a crazy place. Makkah was like that. It was not a conservative society, by no stretch of the imagination. Alcohol, gambling, free, sexual relations, completely open, super liberal. The Jewish tribes, they don't really have, they're more about rituals than they are about these kinds of ethics. But the Muslims brought about this teaching of decency and modesty and shame and a campaign against zina and a campaign to guard the eyes and all this, the modesty campaign, right? But Muslims don't understand that our modesty is not the same as Christian modesty. Christian modesty is that the relationship between men and women itself is basically a kind of compromise of your faith. And since you can't do without it, at least you can just be monogamous. That's it. Be faithful to your wife, etc., etc. That's their whole thing. The Quran offers a very different view of sexual ethics and the relationship between men and women. The Prophet ﷺ, or the Arabs, were okay, completely marrying more than one woman, completely, perfectly okay. Divorce is not the end of the world. In Catholic religion, you can't even get divorced. You can only get a marriage annulled. There's no such thing as divorce. Okay? A marriage annulled means the nikah was batil to begin with. You have to prove it was never a valid marriage. Oh, I didn't realize she's my sister. They have to prove that and then they get, or they have to prove that she's already married or something. Some crazy accusation. That's the only way the king can get rid of the queen. That's how they do it. That's why they had all these illegitimate relationships, because they don't have that. Islam came and it brought 4 or 5 things, I'm going to list them to you, that revolutionized marriage itself. How the world saw marriage before Islam, and what the Quran brought, what Islam brought, how it saw after it, okay? 1, Allah made marriage easy. There's no high requirements. Number 2, it gave men exclusive financial responsibility over the wife and the children. Women aren't financially responsible. Men are exclusively financially responsible for the wife and the children. 3, the Quran made divorce through a process easy. Follow the process and you can get divorced. And the Quran never talked about why you should get divorced. The Quran just talked about how you should get divorced. So the divorce, by the way, was either it was 2 there wasn't even a process and you could just throw someone out, or you can never get divorced. It's the worst thing ever. What three things did I list so far? What was made easy? Marriage was made easy. So now the whole tribe doesn't have to have this approval or that approval, and we have to have this ceremony. And no, just ijab and qubul, khalas, goodbye. You get married at Dunkin' Donuts in Islam. It's still valid. So long as it meets the conditions, it's valid. Right? What's the second? Finance becomes the man's responsibility over the wife and the children. 3, divorce with a process. It was given a process and it was made easy. It was given a process and it was made easy. 4, remarriage was made easy. Remarriage was made easy. Because in the previous world, in higher society, when a woman is divorced, she is forever what? She's cursed. Don't even invite her to a wedding because she'll probably infect other women with divorce. Right? This is Jahiliyyah society. Also in Muslim countries nowadays. What Islam came to change. The Prophet ﷺ, with the exception of Aisha, married mostly divorced or widowed women. So it's completely normal to get divorced, completely normal to get remarried. It took the taboo away, and marrying more than one, taking responsibility for them, normalized. It was already normal, but it was legitimized. It was given the religious sanction. You can have more than one. So long as you give them their rights, there's two kinds of rights. There's qualitative rights and there's quantitative rights. There's love and affection and smiles and da-da-da. There's the feeling or meaningful conversations. You can't ever be equal in that. Like, you can't even have the two equal level conversations between two of your kids. It's never going to happen, right? You can't have two equal level conversations between a mom and a dad. Not going to happen. But time, finances, like, can you give each one their rights as what they deserve? That is, you have to give rights. So that's the adl. If you could do that, normalized. Right? Now, what did we do? Muslims, forget non-Muslims. Forget about them. What did we do? We came along and we said, marriage is too easy. We should make it a little harder. We should make it more expensive. We should put more requirements. We should especially make it more difficult for girls. Right? And if they're already divorced, then inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And of course, then on top of that, we shouldn't allow a divorce to ever happen because it's worse than death. Right? I mean, fathers will tell their daughters in the Muslim world now, the only way you're coming back here is in your box. Right? With your kafan on. Otherwise, don't come back here. So we made marriage difficult. Then we made what? Divorce difficult. Then what's the third thing? No. Financial responsibility. Who is the man financially responsible for? Wife and children. No. Make the man financially responsible for parents, cousins, uncles, cousins, barbers, friends, dog. And money goes everywhere else except it doesn't go where? Wife and the kid. Doesn't go there. Okay? Parents will say it's ours. And then the fourth was what? Remarriage. Oh, forget it. Last year she was married to his best friend and she got divorced. Now she's married to him. These women nowadays. Oh. Got a colorful personality. The Prophet ﷺ was put in the most controversial situation. Someone who's allegedly his own son, and he's marrying his alleged daughter-in-law, right? Why? Because Allah wanted to make clear, if it's halal, haram, you can marry whoever you want. There is no, she was married to the older brother and then he died and she married the younger brother. She did this and he did this. No. Or she's so young, he's so old. Or he's so young, she's so... No. Are they adults? Is it halal? That's it. Goodbye. There's no tongues. There's no mouth running. The Prophet ﷺ was put in the front line of people making comments. Front line. He had to hear the comments from all of society about this marriage. Why? Because Allah wanted him